Kahawa, kahawa. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well, whatever you are. Sorry if my microphone is acting up. Just let me know if my audio, if I'm audible or not. I'll be here for roughly an hour or so, or maybe less, just depends. I'm on daddy duties tonight, this morning, actually. But nevertheless, karibuni sana, karibuni sana, karibuni sana. If you're joining from Kenya, I know it's probably afternoon or late in the evening, not late in the evening, but early in the evening or afternoon. If you're joining from Europe, it's probably lunchtime or in the afternoon. So karibu sana, wherever you're joining from, whether you're joining from Europe, Kenya, anywhere in Africa, East Asia, America, it's morning, or in Australia, whatever the case is. Karibu sana, Antarctica. This is Kenya Revolutionary. So welcome. The first order of business, as you know, is to go ahead and like the video. And if this your first time and you're watching this video, you're wondering what this channel is all about. This channel is about Kenyan politics. So go ahead and subscribe if it's your first time. And like the video too, okay? All right, today we are going to get to this issue or the topic at hand, which is Ruto's visit to China means he is done with the West. Is he done with the West? Let's explore that really quick. Now, I'll put two and two together because that's what I try to do. I'm trying to be a dot connector. That's what I usually do in politics. Now, we had, of course, this is just my opinion, and I might be wrong. I might be right. You are also free to chime in and tell me if I'm wrong or right and what you think, what's going on in Kenya. Now, a lot of people in Kenya are saying that Ruto has gone to China because the IMF are on his behind. You know, the finance bill didn't go through, so he has no money to collect. Legally, he cannot collect taxes. Of course, he will refer back to the previous finance bill, which was challenged, the 2023 finance bill that was challenged by Okiom Tata. And again, I made a video about this. Remember, once the IMF went and met Mbadi, who is the new CS of Treasury, Mbadi went ahead and appealed the decision by the Supreme Court or the courts to suspend that judgment, which was that the finance bill was unconstitutional. Was the process of, the finance bill, the process of making the budget was unconstitutional, so they could not go ahead and use that. So the government was stuck as far as when it comes to collecting taxes, because now they cannot have money to, pay for the things that they need to pay for, whether it's for development or, just paying the workers. And that's why you see there's a lot of, noises, not noises, but there's a lot of protestation that's coming from the teachers, civil servants, and so forth, okay? Do I make sense up to there? Okay. Now, remember when this protest started, before the teachers' protest and all that stuff, when the Gen Zs, started going to the streets, went and, occupied the parliament. We remember that, June 25th, the infamous day now, in our history, among other days, Nane or whatever the case is, Saba. You had the government started saying, the Ford Foundation must be behind this, or the Western governments are trying to sabotage his government, or try to take him out through this popular revolution. And you know what? As crazy as that sounds, there's kind of, the president had a point there. I won't believe what he says because he didn't quite know who was behind what. That's why he was all over this thing. One day he was like, Uhuru Kenyatta is behind this. The next day it was the Russians. The next day it's the Ford Foundation. He does not know what was happening. But one thing that I know is through, different books that I've read, is that yes, the West, if they're done with you, if they're done with the president, they usually fund a popular revolution against you. Again, I've given an example of what happened to Mossadegh in 1953 in Iran. The current situation in Venezuela, you just had there was an American Green Beret that was arrested, who was behind the sponsoring and all the tactical work, logistics of helping the Venezuela's opposition, popular uprising against Maduro. And we can go down the list. There's so many, the Shah, how he came. Yeah, I've already mentioned the Shah with Iran, and even the Orange Revolution in Ukraine. That was, CIA, Western governments that were involved in that. So there's numerous examples that you can go find yourself, do your research. Again, I usually quote that book, by John Perkins. You can go read it. It explains how they did it in various numerous countries. So when I had Ruto say that, the Ford Foundation, and again, the reason why I'm kind of paid attention when he say that is because usually that's how the CIA fund this popular revolution. They use institutions, the NGOs, like USAID, okay, and it can be also the Ford Foundation. This is something that they do. So you might think that NGOs is out there, like some of these NGOs, their whole shtick is that they are promoting democracy, or they are promoting, women to, develop and all this stuff. It's usually some shenanigans that you think that it's a noble cause, but the real reason why they're there is to basically funnel some money, billions and gazillions of US dollars, to bring in an agenda. And if they don't like the president or the leadership of that country, they use those organizations to fund a revolution, a popular revolt against the government. And this is usually done for several reasons, okay? Number one, if the government of the day is not playing by their script. For example, if they tell the government that they want some, aspect of the economy, let's say the minerals that's coming from whatever, or they ask the government that, hey, listen, you cannot export this, we'll have to import from this particular corporation. And if that government says, no, we're not doing that, then that's when, they kind of give him time and tell him, hey, listen, we're going to give you time, do this, or else this is what's going to happen. And if the government of the day still refuses, that's when they start their mission to, fund an opposition or fund a popular revolt against the president, or in some cases, they fund a coup d'etat. So don't be surprised if maybe that General Ogola might have been somebody who was kind of in this mess. By the way, speaking of General Ogola, we were supposed to be given a report that will tell us what really caused his death, but we haven't received it yet. So that's another story for another day. But like I said, this is not uncommon, especially in African nations. Again, Congo is also a perfect example. How did Mobutu Sese Seko got into power? It was the CIA who helped him, after they captured Lumumba, and the story, okay? So this is not uncommon. So Ruto is not out of line when he says it, okay? Even though, I will take anything that he says with a pinch of salt. He's a known liar, but that's something that might be real. Now, the reason why I find this trip to China very interesting, it's because, yes, we did have some debt from Chinese before. But again, you saw the clip. You saw the clip when Ruto was talking. There's actually, I read today that some of our railways was being were being constructed by a French company. And since Ruto has gone to China, the Chinese now are going to take over the maintenance and the running of our railway lines. So that's an example. Again, Chinese are notoriously known for having this kind of deals. If you go to Zambia or Zimbabwe, they're known. They will take over your ports. They'll give you some money. And if they think you cannot pay it back, the exchange is that they will run your airports, whether they're your ports or airports or railway lines or some aspect of your economy for the next 30 years. They'll basically run it. They'll lease it, not lease it, but own it for the next I don't know how many years. And that's the controversy that was happening in Tanzania, Zambia, Zimbabwe. These are the kind of deals that Chinese always do have with a lot of African nations. Chinese are not better than the colonialists, okay? They do not have good deals, okay? There's some things that they can do that's good, but for the most part, the Chinese are just, of course, the difference between the West and the Chinese basically don't ask to, meddle in your politics or write your policies, but they will demand that they have, run some aspect of your economy. Okay, so in that respect, they're just as bad as the colonialists. That's why I always say that the Russian deal is usually a better deal. They're not angels by no means. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying they're the best out there, but they kind of offer a more reasonable deal like the one with the Sahel nations, okay? They just tell you, hey, listen, we can provide you with security. We'll offer you, help you with your infrastructure or whatever the case is. We just need a percentage out of your, whatever you get from your resources, okay? For an X amount, because, we are sacrificing our soldiers. But anyway, that's not what I want to delve in. Let's go back to Ruto. I digress. Let's get to Ruto. I'll start with this clip by this this journalist who was saying something that I found very interesting. So let's get started with that. Then we'll go to Ruto in China, and we'll continue on and on. So if you're joining again, this is your first time, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And if you're getting the notification that I'm live, go ahead and do the first order of business, which is what? Like the channel. Let's get to it. Here it is.
Good morning, my fellow Kenyans. I want to thank you for your support, encouragement, and it's important that we as citizens talk about our public policy because it affects all of us. The president is going to China 2.5 years after his mandate because he's failed in his policy with the West, which means the Americans, the European Union. He is now going to the East. Now, what face is he going to wear when he goes to China and all the Chinese know that this guy put his lot with the Americans and is made a non-NATO ally? While the Chinese are militarily struggling against the Americans over the Taiwan Straits. What roads and bridges and ports and infrastructure have the Americans and the British built in Kenya? Apart from the roads that connected the colonial farmers to Nairobi, the one road. I want to tell you that Mr. Ruto's statecraft is based on voodoo statecraft, voodoo foreign policy, voodoo economics, voodoo language, voodoo governance, voodoo policy, Shindwe. Words of the Lord are altogether true, righteous all the time.
Okay, so that gentleman, I forgot his name. He's a journalist. I forgot his name. The only correction I would like to make from what he's saying, that China is struggling against the US in their struggle against South Korea. That's not true, actually. It's basically China try to protect their, part of the world. As you know, China has always been considered Taiwan to start with as part of, China. Historically, it's part of China, and U.S. has always supported Taiwan, the independence of Taiwan. And so there's also South Korea with North Korea. North Korea is basically aligned to China, and South Korea is being supported by United States of America. So China is basically, you know, they always viewed US as, try to stop the US hegemony in Asia. China want to be the big dogs out there. Same thing with Russia and Ukraine. It's kind of the same thing. So it's not that China is struggling against the US. It's mostly China stopping the influence of the United States in Asia in their background. But anyway, coming back to the point that this man is making, is basically saying that Ruto seems to have fallen out with the West. I've always maintained here that Ruto is the biggest puppet of the West. And again, it seems like things are not working out with him and the West. And that's why I posed this question. Could it be that this Gen Z movement, these protests, they are threatening to remove Ruto, whether it's the parliament or Ruto himself? This is a result of a hidden hand by the West, because Ruto is now turning to the West. Could it be? That's a question that is worth exploring. I can't give you a definitive answer as of right now because there are things unfolding. So we can only know with time what will happen. If you see that the West are really becoming more antagonistic towards this Ruto regime, then we shall surely know that this guy is done with the West. And if that's the case, then he will be risking a coup d'etat, whether it's a popular revolution or it's a military coup d'etat or just an assassination. Those are the three things that the West usually use to remove him from power. As it stands right now, I think Ruto is still a Western puppet, okay? And now, I'll give you a reason why. Remember when I told you in my previous videos and I asked you, why is Meg Whitman making rounds, meeting every CS, the newly elected CSs, to be exact? She met Hassan Joho, she met John Badi, she met yesterday, she met somebody else, new CS. I'll tell you who it is. I'll tell you who it is. Here it is. Are you ready? Are you ready? Surprise, surprise. I'm going back to Ruto. Don't worry about it. I'm going back to Ruto. Just relax. I'll go back to Ruto in a second. There's a CS that she went and visited. I'm keep on telling you that Meg Whitman is basically the de facto Kenyan president. Now, she met Aden Duale. Went and met Aden Duale. Remember, I told you last Monday, not this Monday that we just passed, the other one, the previous one, she met Kalonzo Musyoka. And I asked, why will she meet Kalonzo Musyoka? Kalonzo Musyoka does not hold any public office. Why would he meet Kalonzo Musyoka? And after that meeting on Monday, the next day, Tuesday morning, Kalonzo Musyoka had a press conference announcing that he was the official head of the opposition. Like, he's the face of the opposition. And he had that press conference where he invited Babu Owino, Amalwa, and all those clowns to joining in the presser. Remember that? So you can see. And he even tried to kind of align himself with the Gen Z, what the Gen Z are fighting for, which is, Ruto must go, all this corruption must stop, police brutality, so forth, so forth. You saw that now Kalonzo is aligning himself with the Gen Zs. He's trying, at least. We know he's a con man, a watermelon, as useless as he is. But, as I said, Kalonzo Musyoka meets Meg Whitman on Monday. On Tuesday, Kalonzo Musyoka holds a press conference saying that he is the face of the opposition. You see what's happening? Just like Mbadi meets the IMF representative, Miss Meg Whitman, the next day, Mbadi puts a petition against an appeal against the court's ruling that the finance bill was unconstitutional. And now there's a stay on that judgment, okay? You see what I'm saying? Do you see the correlation here? You see CS again what's his face? Joho. As soon as he became the CS, guess who's the first one to pay him a visit? Meg Whitman. Who else? The CS for Health, the new one, whoever that is. Okay. Soon as she's appointed to become the CS for Health and whatever the case is, guess who pays her a visit? Meg Whitman. Who else? Aiden Duale yesterday or today, whatever the case is, okay, just was reshuffled to a new CS position. Guess who paid him a visit? Meg Whitman. You think I'm kidding? Let me show you. And I'll show you why. And we'll dig deep a little bit on that issue. Not deep, but just scratch a little bit on that issue. Here it is, if you can see the screen. Can you see the screen, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades? Okay. So here it is. It's been U.S. Ambassador Meg Whitman visits C.S. Duale to discuss the establishment of a carbon market. Carbon market, as we know, for those of you who don't know, it's a freaking sham. We'll get to it. I'll let somebody explain what it is. Here it is. And this is what Land is Not Property Mwalimu Wandia tells us on Twitter. Carbon markets are a scam for getting Africans off their land without firing a single gunshot. Let's get to it. I'll let this gentleman explain what carbon markets are and how much of a scam it is. But again, the point I'm trying to emphasize here is how come every new CS that was appointed by Ruto, as soon as they just assumed office, there we had the US ambassador to Kenya pay them a visit. Why don't you see the same thing reciprocated in the US? You don't see that if there's a new administration, when Biden became the president and appointed his new ministers, for so to speak, you didn't see the US, you didn't see the Kenyan ambassador to US visit every ministry in the US. It doesn't happen that way. But the opposite is happening in Kenya. Why? What's happening? Let's listen to this real quick so we can get an idea of what these carbon markets are all about.
Quote unquote. They're telling Kenyan communities and even government that if you keep this forest intact, which you already have, we will give you money. You sign this agreement, this 30-year agreement, to keep this as a carbon sink. Once they demarcate that area, you cannot graze your animals in there.
What?
If you had houses in there, you move out of there. You cannot fetch water in the rivers in there. You cannot fetch firewood there. You cannot touch that land. So basically, you hand over ownership of that land, except you didn't sell it. The second part of the scam is that the money you are promised does not come. That same guy is the one who comes and tells you how much he's going to pay you. He's the one who comes and audits, quote unquote. So he's the one who even comes and tells you that one day you don't have enough carbon, or the carbon you have is worth only 5K or whatever. He's the player and the referee. You see, that expression on your face is what our MPs should have had, because it's nonsense.
It is.
That's why you are struggling to understand it. It's nonsense.
The MPs don't know.
I can tell you for free, Imani Ichung'wa does not know what carbon trading is, yet they passed it in parliament. If it was bad, I get Peter Bungeni. You know, that's how people think in Kenya. If it was bad, even the president wouldn't be supporting it. And the thing is, the president doesn't know what it is. And none of his advisors has the courage or intellectual fiber to tell him, Mzee, hapa, please tufikirie hivi. This is colonialism version 2 without guns, without missionaries, without those torture and all that thing.
You know, I'm getting a headache. How does that thing make sense? You know, what kind of Kenya do we have where something like that can actually make sense?
So had a glimpse of what that gentleman is talking about. This whole climate change, carbon markets, carbon emissions, carbon whatever, it's a concocted bull crap. And again, Kenya has given up, I don't know how many acres of land. I think UAE, United Arab Emirates, have acquired land in Kenya. Not only one land, there's different places in Kenya that, as that gentleman have explained, Kenya gives land up, huge amount of land. And once that place, as he said, is demarcated, you cannot do anything in that land. You cannot graze in that land. You cannot farm in that land. You cannot do anything. And then they'll tell you that, hey, we'll pay you. We'll determine how many carbon whatever is being produced here, and we'll pay you accordingly. And they'll get to determine how much they pay you. It's a sham. Again, it's another way of taking your land. That's why you saw when Trump was the United States president, he withdrew from the Paris treaty of this carbon, whatever, climate change treaty, whatever the case is. The Paris, not Paris Accord or something like that. Because he said it was a sham. Once you become a signatory to that treaty or whatever, not that contract with them, your country, those, United Nations and all these people can come to your country and say, hey, we want this piece of land and you have to give it up. And they do whatever they want to and pay you whatever they feel they deem fit to pay you. Another way of taking up your land. Again, you have to think about it. What was colonialism all about? Colonialism was all about exploitation. Exploiting your resources, exploiting your land, exploiting your human resources. But it's becoming, they are redesigning how they do things. Before, they had to send missionaries and soldiers to forcefully colonize you. So they can forcefully take your land, forcefully plant whatever they wanted to plant. But now they're not doing that anymore. They're not using that. They're very clever. They're doing it two different ways. It's called neo-colonialism. Neo means new. They're doing it a new way. They don't have to send soldiers. That's too expensive. They're not sending missionaries. That's too expensive. Now they're using corporations, corporatocracy, as they call it. And they're going to present themselves to your country as what? Direct investments. They are the investors, foreign investments. When you hear Ruto says foreign investments, you pay attention. These are the colonizers. Because after all, if you look at those lands that were taken by the British when they came to Kenya, those lands were used to grow, whether it was coffee, that was what? Processed and exported to the British countries. Same thing in the West Africa, the cocoa fields. And it was corporations. So now they have their colonial stooges like Ruto being the president, and they come and they present themselves as foreign investors. And they bribe Ruto. Then they have their own way, force him to sign this climate, Paris climate stuff. And then they come and take your land and tell you, hey, listen, we'll have this amount of land in your country for the next 30 years. And during these 30 years, you can't do anything. You can't graze that land. You cannot plant anything. It's under somebody else's control. Does that sound familiar? We were just discussing that the other day on my previous live when a gentleman came in here and explained to us briefly, succinctly, how the Adani deal is. The Indian company that's about to run our airports. And part of the deal was, okay, if these guys take it over, they'll run it for the next what? Is it 30 years? And you'll have no say about how they run it. That's the new way of colonizing Africa. First, you get a colonial stooge, you rig them in. Speaking of rigging, the Italian prime minister just said that. So they rig these puppets in, and once they rig them, they get them to sign these contracts that give them the legal right to come and, exploit the people of these respective countries. That's how it's done. Now, Ruto is in China begging for money. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. But he doesn't care because, after all, it's not him who is going to pay for that money he's borrowing. He's going to spend that money with Raila. He doesn't care. Do you think he cares? No. Here it is. Let me show you something else. Labani Misiani, thank you for joining. Labani is telling us that our airports need facelift like other international airports. Yeah, it does. I'm not in the disagreement in that. Yes, we need a facelift, but just because it needs a facelift, do we need to have Adani do the facelifting, if you will, for the next 30 years? A company that is known internationally to be corrupt. That's the issue. It's not that we're saying our airports do not need a facelift or do not need renovation. We do agree, Laban, I agree with you that they need to be fixed. But if we are going to do so, we should do it the right way, not giving contracts, 30-year contracts, to companies that are known to be corrupt. And the terms of this contract is where the problem is, the issue is, okay? So the problem is not that we are against renovations of our airports. The problem is the terms and the party in which we are about to sign this contract with, okay? We cannot have corrupt, dodgy companies that take over our airports. That's the issue. And that's why people are not in agreement with the president. So I agree with you. We need to facelift, but yeah. Rwanda has taken over the air transport in East Africa. Okay. What do you... last time I checked, they haven't taken over. You mean as they are like the leading... I think that's what you're trying to say. They have the best air transport in East Africa. I think that's what you mean, if I'm not wrong, right? I don't know, but I can't challenge you on that. Maybe they are. I've never been to Rwanda. So I heard it's a beautiful, clean city. Well, Kigali is. I don't know about the whole Rwanda, but yeah, I mean, hey, I can't deny or fight you on that, okay? But yeah, maybe you're right. CS David Chirchir led Ministry of Transport CS David Chirchir led Ministry of Transport proposes a law to allow private companies to operate Kenya's railway infrastructure. I told you that Ruto, in his trip to China, he made it clear that Chinese company will take over that. Other news too. Let's get to this. Crap. All right. My thing has delays and I don't know what to do. Okay. Okay, here it is. Like the video, ladies and gentlemen. Like the video and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Share, comment, and all that good stuff. Cyprian Nyakundi saying, Body of Treasury employee Evans Chirchir, who had expressed fears for his life over 286 million Kenyan shillings tender, was found yesterday, September 3rd, 2024, at Machakos Level 5 Hospital with a head injury. A post-mortem examination is scheduled for today, September 4th, 2024, to determine the cause of death. Evans Chirchir, had before he died, he ended up dead. He had made it clear that his life was in danger. Okay, so we don't know who might have hatujui nani alifanya hiyo kitu. Okay, remember MP Kuria Kimani, that useless MP from I think it's Molo or something, who during the finance bill public participation went to, yeah, was holding a public participation meeting or whatever the case is. And at the end of it, he was like, we thank you for giving your 2 cents, but by the way, we'll consider it, but we came just to hear you, but we'll make our decisions, okay? We've heard you, but we are going to make our own decision anyways. So the area MP, Mr. Kuria Kimani, who is also the chair of the National Assembly's Finance and Planning Committee in Molo, right? The workers there, they had to raise their own money to fix a road. Here's the news clip.
Wakati kuna shida pale Posta ama Main State.
Kizaazaa kilishuhudiwa katika kijiji cha Mutirithia Molo baada ya wananchi kujitokeza kujikarabatia barabara ambayo walisema imetelekezwa kwa muda mrefu na viongozi wa eneo hilo. Wenyeji wanalaumu mwakilishi wao wa wadi pamoja na mbunge wao Kuria Kimani, wakisema barabara hiyo imekuwa tatizo sugu katika shughuli za usafiri. Wakazi hao walijitokeza na kufanya mchango na kununua mawe ambayo wameponda barabarani pasipo msaada wa viongozi hao. Wamesema juhudi za kuwafikia viongozi hao wanaotajwa zimekuwa zikigonga mwamba na shughuli za usafiri zinaendelea kutatizika tena kwa muda mrefu.
Mingi haitengenezwi. Sasa tukibeba makastoma tunawarukisa, wanalalamika mgongo, ukisukisa customer analia mgongo. Sasa angalia hata saa hii kuna watu tu ya vijiji venye ndio wanajaribu kurekebisha, hata mheshimiwa mwenyewe kutoka achaguliwe atumuoni. Hii barabara ni barabara kubwa kwa sababu magari nyingi wakati kuna shida pale Posta ama Main State zinataka kwenda upande wa Mosamet zinapitana hii barabara. Na sisi ni kwa nini haipatii umuhimu wa kwanza kwa hii barabara?
Kuongea ukweli, viongozi ambao tuliwachagua hawajaonekana hapa kutoka tufanye uchaguzi. Walikuja na ahadi nyingi sana za barabara na mambo mengine, lakini wametoweka. Wengine nasikia wanapatikana katika sehemu za burudani, kiwataka utawapata pale. Barabara zetu ziko katika hali mbaya kama mnaviona, zimeharibika kabisa. Hata wanafunzi wetu wanapoelekea shuleni asubuhi, wengine wanachafuka kabla wafike shuleni kwa sababu ya maji ambayo mnaona hapa.
Okay, so you see the wananchi have taken matters in their own hand, and you can see that this trend then goes to Morara. People are taking matters in their own hand, and they're exposing these members of parliament and governors and every government level of government, whether it's Ruto and his projects or the area MP. They are exposing the fake development agenda that these leaders are trying to renew. Now, Laban says, I think he's referring to Rwanda's case. Allow our country to move if indeed we want Kenya to be a middle-income country. Countries that are making economic progress, they are not in very active politics the way we are. Well, Principal, hello, nice seeing you. Karibu. Laban, the people of Kenya are not being active in politics just because they don't want this country to progress. The people who are active in politics are active because they want to hold these elected leaders accountable. No one is playing politics just to play politics. Of course, there are those who want to play politics for the sake of it, but for the majority of Kenyans, the real bosses of this country are the people, the sovereign people of this country. Ruto, they feel, is leading them in the wrong trajectory, economically or ethically, politically, economically, socially. Ruto is not doing the right thing. And his bosses, who are the Kenyan people, are saying, we are heading in the wrong direction. We've asked you several times to stop, and you have refused. So not only are we exposing you, but we shall remove you. So we cannot say that we are going to allow this country to move on so that we can see prosperity while Ruto is not leading us to the road which will lead us to prosperity. That is what I'm saying. Politics will always be there. Active politics will not go away. Kagame is a dictator. And by the way, most of the proceeds that are used to actually build Rwanda come from Congo through his M23. So know your politics. But all I'm saying is this. You cannot argue that we need to allow our country to move in order to get prosperity, to move to a middle income country. We cannot have a middle income country if the people that we elected, we delegated this sovereign power that we delegated to, are looting the funds that are supposed to actually help develop this country, get to that middle income country. He's not investing the money that we pay, money that we give from our taxes to build industries that can help bring in more, provide income for people. The money borrowed locally and from outside are not used to build infrastructure. Our workers are not being paid. There's no incentives for our teachers. There's no industries that can help with employment, innovation, higher education, production. None. The money that is collected from the wananchi is used by these politicians to buy themselves more land, more properties in foreign nations as stashed outside. It's not being used to help the wananchi to develop into a middle income country. So we have to politic. We have to be actively, politically making noise, because the people are the bosses. They are the boss of Ruto. So there's no way you can tell us to allow the country to move. We cannot. We have to change how we operate. That's my point. Hello, Pritpal Kaur. Nice seeing you, my dear friend. Imagine if your show was about youth and employment and opportunities, but you have chosen to do only politics shows. Well, I would like to have a show that's about youth and employment, but there's no employment in our country. Can you show me what kind of initiative that Ruto has started to help with employment? And please don't tell me about jobs in Saudi Arabia or UAE. Please don't tell me about jobs in Germany. If Ruto had real programs for the youth and a real pragmatic plan for employment, boosting employment in Kenya, I will make my show about that. I will praise him. I will be the first one to praise him. And I will name it. And if you do know anything about any program that's going on that's been initiated, started by Ruto, I will be more than happy to name it here and promote it so that more youths can get a jobs. But the last time I heard, he kept on telling us about jobs in UAE, jobs in Saudi Arabia, jobs in Germany, jobs outside of Kenya. That's not a real way of boosting an economy and helping the youth in Kenya build their own country. So no, I will make it a political show because the people have to regain their sovereign authority in order to remove this president who has failed to govern. And it's by all evidence shows that this man is a failure. Bobby Caesar. Hi, my dear friend. People should understand there's no politics without economics. The two are inseparable. That is why in economics, there's a subchapter called political and economic strategy. Absolutely. Politics is in everything. Politics is in everything because politics actually is about how we govern ourselves. How we govern ourselves, the power we have, the power we delegate, how we conduct our affairs. That's politics. So politics is everywhere. It affects every aspect of our state and how we kind of deal with our problems. Okay. Laban says, I mean, online jobs because they do exist. Okay. Again, what kind of online jobs? And number two, how many of our youths are well trained in those jobs that you're talking about, online jobs? Yes, there are people who may choose, have gotten a level of education. They've learned about, online jobs. They can do it, but not majority of the youths. They might be educated, but they're not educated in those kind of jobs. Okay. What I'm trying to say is this: not everyone, majority, you cannot have majority of the youth have jobs in online. I mean, that's not realistic. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like you're arguing, okay, we have jobs as we have healthcare jobs. Yes, we do, but not all of our youth will go to become work in the healthcare field. Of course, there's a number of them who are involved in healthcare field, but not all of them. And it might not even be the majority of them. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say. Well and good, but are our youth, Laban, listen to me very carefully. Laban, Messiani, are our youth equipped with the knowledge, skills, and the know-how to actually qualify for these online jobs? That's the question. Now, that's why I'm saying, even if there's these online jobs, it is the government's responsibility to facilitate this institutions, academic institutions, to prepare our youth for jobs, whether they are online jobs or healthcare jobs or jobs in different industries. That is the job of the government. And how can they do that? First of all, the government needs to get rid itself of this funny fee structure model that they're trying to put in our higher education institutions. Okay, make education accessible to every child in Kenya. Make it free. There's enough money to actually do that. Pay the teachers and make it free. Okay, then help this youth learn these skills so that they can actually have these online jobs that you're talking about. You cannot say, oh, we have online jobs. How is that going to help somebody who does not have a computer? How is that going to help somebody who has never learned computer science, has never learned anything about the computer? You see what I'm saying? So yeah, get it together. The problem is the problem in Kenya politics is the use of politics to enrich the political class, like Kenya Adani deals. Yes, Bobby. True. What if you offer yourself to train them? I'll be more than willing, but I cannot use my own funds to train them, because that takes time, and it also needs, that means I'll have to stop doing what I'm doing for a living to do that. So you have to pay me for my time, and I'll gladly do that. And when I say pay, you have to give me reasonable pay, something I can live with, okay, to sustain myself, because I have to support myself too. Okay, so I am willing to train them. If you have Ruto's Ruto's contacts, he can contact me. I'll be willing to train the youth. He has to pay me. We have to agree on the payment, and I'm more than willing to do that. Okay, so yeah. So they are only qualified to incitement for violence and mandamano from people living abroad. No one is incited then. If anything, this mandamano started without even people in abroad. So you mean to tell me that this Gen Z, they started because people abroad told them to go to mandamano? You mean to tell me that this Gen Z walienda maandamano kwa sababu waliambiwa na watu ambao wako abroad endeni maandamano? I mean, come on, Laban, be serious. These youth, they live and they see how the conditions are presently in Kenya. They see it. They don't need anyone from abroad to tell them at waende maandamano. If anything, they organize themselves. Uko. They don't need any advice from me, of all people. All I'm doing is highlighting what's taking place. I'm not telling them. They don't listen to me. They don't look at me for direction. They know what's wrong. They know what needs to be fixed. They're not silly. They're not robots. Nobody needs to incite them. They know what needs to be done. I'm simply providing a platform where we can exchange ideas, how we can do it, how we can make effective things affect change. I'm not inciting anyone. Those mandamano went on without me. Okay? I had nothing to do with them. So, if you are confused, this is a platform where we highlight what's going on in Kenya and how we can change or affect change in a positive way. You are confusing that for incitement. So get it right, okay? Get it right. So that statement that is so they can only, that's just off, okay? But anyway, we continue. As we continue to give you what you need, let's see what's going on. What else is going on out there? Gladys Wanga, speaking of politics. Speaking of politics, should we go to Gladys Wanga? Gladys Wanga was breathing fire, saying she's not leaving ODM. Okay, let's see what Gladys Wanga was saying. I'm all over with this. Sorry about that.
People say we throw stones. People say we are not hospitable people. The president here in our region. We are happy with our people and we thank them for receiving the president. Our people have been mistaken for a long time. People say we throw stones. People say we are not hospitable people. But we are people who know what we want. We know what we want. We know where we have come from. We know where we are. We know where we are going. But we are very hospitable people. Extremely hospitable people. And the country saw it when we received the president here. But as chairman, national chairman of the ODM party, I also must reiterate that we will continue to build our party. We will continue to strengthen our party. And we are in the Azimio la Umoja coalition. And nobody can remove us from Azimio la Umoja coalition. Nobody can remove us from there. And our leader is Raila Amolo Odinga. So, nobody should force us out of anywhere. We are in the minority. Our members of parliament will continue with their duties of oversighting the government, as should be the case.
Gladys Wanga is a pinhead. Of course, she wants to play politics and throw in some tribal stuff in it because that's the only way they can survive. He's talking about his party. The government cannot oversight itself. The executive cannot oversight its own itself. Okay, that just can't happen. The ODM are officially in the government, so the nonsense she's spewing does not make sense. But of course, she has to play that because that's the only way they can survive. That's why she's leaning on our people up. Anytime Kenyan politician, majority of the politicians, anytime they know that they are in trouble, they always resort back to their own tribe. Oh, we have been Nini, we have been we've never Nini, because they have no substance. They know they are full of it. So they'll always go back and say, oh, we ODM, we've been Nini, we haven't been in government all our lives. Just a bunch of nonsense, okay? Codswallop. Bobby Caesar, let's see what she says. Bobby Caesar is saying, there is a Kenyan culture where someone is openly in bad books, but people still see he is okay. Like in Homa Bay, those cheering earthlings of a man who is a pathological liar. How is that? Yeah. That's the thing. That's why they are fighting so hard. Like I mentioned in the previous lives, they are fighting so hard this whole idea of being tribeless, partyless, and leaderless because it exposes the stupidity of depending on your own leader, who we know is a pathological liar or is a tribalist or is without substance. It exposes that. That's why you see even these ODM idiots, since they've joined the Ruto in his looting spree, they're now going back to, oh, our people. We haven't been in, we've been, disfranchised for a long time. And it's, for the first time you're in government. See, they're making it about their own community. They're making it about the Luo nation, the Luo community. While this is not about the Luo community, this is about all Kenyans. You went there as the CS, a member of ODM. You went there to gain individually. Mbadi becoming the CS of Treasury will not help anyone in Soba. But they're trying to make it about tribe because they know if the people of Nyanza, the Luo people, abandon them, they will have nothing to stand on. They will have nothing. So that's why they have to work hard and make it about tribe. Oh, our people, our people. Because these people have no substance. Ndio maana unaona every time there's a leader, let's say if, remember, okay, let me just use this example. Remember when Oparanya was, taken by the DCI for the corruption thing, the money he stole when he was a Kakamega governor. What did you see the people of Western started saying? Hey, our people are being targeted. Hey, Luya people are being targeted. When Matiangi was taken to Ninio by the DCI, for questioning, what did there was protests in Kisii? Oh, our people, the Kisii are being targeted. Oh, it's always this nonsense. Remember Linturi when he was being impeached, the impeachment process was happening. There was an organized Ninio protest in wherever he comes from. Like, oh, the people of Embu, the people of are being targeted. Hey, we are being targeted. Hey, we are being targeted. It's always this nonsense. That's how they survive. They loot, they are corrupt, and when they are caught in their criminal activities, they want to make it about their community. Same thing with this pinhead Gladys Wanga. She knows she's a corrupt lady. She's been looting Homa Bay dry. Now she's shamelessly saying that, oh, we the Luo people have been in government. What? Because Pio and I and Mbadi is in Ruto's cabinet? Or now we are in government? We, who, you and who? No. It is you that is in government, not the Luo people. See, anyway, let me not make my blood pressure go up. It's too early for that. And actually, there's some youth who feel the same way about this idiot. Let's see. I'm glad the youth can see through her.
Ruto must go, Wanga must go. Sisi kama jenzi wa Homa Bay tunakataa kukula kiapo yenye gavana wa Homa Bay Gladys Wanga alikuwa anapeana. Tumekataa na tutakubali. Ruto must go, Wanga must go. Tumekataa. Sisi kama jenzi wa Homa Bay tunakataa kukula kiapo yenye gavana wa Homa Bay Gladys Wanga alikuwa anapeana. Tumekataa na tutakubali. Ruto must go, Wanga must go. Tumekataa.
Well said. So as you can see, the youth are not buying into Wanga's nonsense. Kenya is made up of communities which have ethnic multi-languages. Yeah, so what's your point? I'm sorry, Miss Yani, what do you mean? Executive is oversighted by parliament. Ideally, yes. That's what the constitution says, but half of the parliament is bought, if not all, not half, 90%, if not 95%, is already bought off by the executive. Same thing with judiciary. So, yeah. Is there a way to remove this my people culture? Does intermarriage help, or it's by design in the genetic blueprint? Mtu wetu ni Kenya. Yeah, it can be removed, Bobby Caesar. If we were to follow the constitution, Matiangi should be in jail. Ruto should be in jail. Raila should be in jail. Uhuru should be in jail. Kalonzo should be in jail. Martha Karua should be in jail. Wanga should be in jail. If these people were jailed, you won't hear this mtuwetu nonsense. It is because they get away with it. We let them get away with it. You bribe someone and they get away with it. That's why they keep on perpetuating this whole mtuwetu nonsense. If the constitution was to be implemented, followed through, we have real law enforcement, where we have a real judicial system that works for everyone, we won't be having this nonsense. Because when you go to court, okay, for example, the Ombetsa case, Oparanya, if Oparanya was to be taken to court and based on the evidence, he is found guilty, we should not sit there and say, oh, mtuwetu. No, the evidence shows us that this man misappropriated funds during his term as the governor of Kakamega. And he should be arrested and jailed. Now, if you do that, I'm pretty sure they will quickly see that, hey, this mtuwetu narrative does not work. But the thing is, we have a corrupt judiciary, we have a corrupt legislature, and an absolutely corrupt executive. So we are doomed either way. So the rot has to be dealt with, starting from the executive, Ruto, then the legislative body, then the judiciary. That's why it should be Occupy State House, not Occupy Parliament. We already occupied Parliament. They have been rendered useless. Now it is Occupy State House. Ruto has to be removed. I'm sorry. And this has to be stressed. I saw somebody post, or Occupy Parliament. Why are we occupying the Parliament again? This is a waste of time. We know the legislative body is Ninio. And even if you get rid of the legislative body, Ruto will still rule without the legislature. Ruto will rule without the judiciary. Uhuru Kenyatta did it. When Maraga advised him to dissolve the parliament, he refused. Kenyatta refused to follow court orders. He didn't care. Even if the legislature passed laws, he didn't care. He ruled unopposed. That's why I'm saying, Imambo Occupy Parliament, it has proved that, okay, it's not that effective. Symbolically, it was good for us to see that we occupied Parliament and rendered that parliament illegitimate by taking that mace. Symbolically, it's fine. But Ruto has to go. That's where the problem starts, because even though we had a new constitution, the 2010 constitution, where we had to decentralize presidential powers or the executive's power, it has never been implemented. The president still acts as if he is the Ayatollah of this state called Republic of Kenya. And until we get to that, we shall always have this corruption going on. Emonjiku Karibu. Gladys is preparing for Baba's return. The AUC writing on the Chinese wall is on bold letters. Apparently, Baba was denied a chance to address African leaders over there. Oh, I didn't know that. Ooh. Labani Misiani saying, ODM are not idiots. Please, it is a political party in Kenya. I will go to the next comment. I will not say anything. Labani, I will pray for you. I will pray for you today. Don't be sorry. This man has to be removed. Yes, he has to be removed. Hey, to this point here, I want to focus on this one. So Baba was denied a chance to address the African leaders over there. Ngoja kidogo. Hold up. Wait a minute. Ngoja kidogo. Does that correlate with what Miguna posted? Let me just read what Miguna said. Hold up. Wait a minute. Ngoje kidogo. Ngojeni kidogo. Hold up. What am I seeing here? When is today? July? There's a tweet here that Miguna wrote that I felt was very, very telling. Where is it? Crap. To this comment about Baba being Ninio. Raila, that is. I don't call him Baba. Let me see. Oh, this is not him. Okay. Hold on. Sorry, I got the wrong Miguna here. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Sorry, guys. Like the video. Let me show you about this. Okay, here it is. So here's the Ninio. Here's the tweet. Again, just read Wanjiku's Ninio. I think there's a correlation between that and what Miguna was saying. Again, the comment is by Wanjiku. Karibu sana Wanjiku. Wanjiku always drop truth bombs up. Gladys is preparing for Baba's return. The AUC writing on the Chinese wall is in bold letters. Apparently, Baba was denied a chance to address the African leaders over there. Yes. Now, I'm hearing from you. I'm reading it from you, rather. The reason it was reported that the reason why Raila went to China with Ruto was because Raila was there to actually try to persuade African head of states to vote for him in his bid for AUC chair. Now, let me just cross-reference that with what Miguna was saying in this tweet here, which was comical, but kind of echoes what Wanjiku is saying. Because here, Raila, Miguna says, Zakayo at William Ruto took the 80-year-old con man to Beijing, then locked him up in the hotel kitchen for 3 days, sleeping in front of a TV screen showing Chinese cartoons. What will the conman cows do when he returns in a wheelchair? Will they ban the JKIA? Basically, okay, I know he's being comical here, he's being funny here, but I think what he's trying to say that Raila he went to China, but he had no specific role. Like he was not by him stating that he left the 80-year-old conman in his room in the hotel kitchen, locked him up there, meant that Raila was not awakumwacha address anyone, which basically that's what he's saying in a facetious way. And that's why I'm cross-referencing with the comment of Wanjiku saying that Baba was denied a chance to address African leaders over there, which Miguna is kind of making it in a comical way, say that Baba was locked in the room, denied the chance to leave his office, which I know it's just being funny. But basically he was saying that Baba was not, they didn't let Raila address people, as Wanjiku is saying. So yeah, I think that's what you mean. All right, okay. So I didn't know about that. But like I say, this whole African Union chairperson position for Raila, if it will take a miracle for him to, I don't think he's going to get it. It's not happening. I'm sorry, Raila. Raila lights. This thing is not happening. It's not happening. Okay, what else are we having here today? There's something else I wanted to talk about, but there's Ruto. Yeah, Ruto in China. He had something to say to the Chinese. Let's just figure it out real quick. Hold on. Just give me a second. Like the video, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades. And by the way, if you're going to watch this on repeat, please make sure you like it, comment, share, and all the good stuff. Okay. Laban is saying Miguna is part of the political people who are inciting violence and mandamano in Kenya. I've never heard Miguna incite people or tell people to be violent. So stop with the lies right there. Pump your brakes, Mr. Laban Misiani. Don't lie here. He never called for people to act violently anywhere in the mandamano. So stop with the lies. Stop with the lies. Wache yo hapo tafadhali, please. That does not fly. Wachana na yo wongo. One more thing I wanted to play. Dang it. There was a speech by okay, here it is. I think this is it. I don't know exactly what Ruto was saying here, but I will play it. I think this was a speech in China somewhere, Uko.
As you know, Kenya is on the energy and power space. It is, as you know, Kenya is a largely renewable energy country, and we have set ourselves a target for 2030 to have 100% renewable energy in our grid. Your participation in that space is a very welcome development. We've just concluded the first PPP project on energy transmission. And we believe that that is the direction we will be considering. So the transmission power lines that you're interested in, we now have a framework where we can work together under a private-public partnership arrangement to deliver power to different parts of Kenya. Apart from your efforts in generation around wind, there are opportunities around solar as well. But I think your target on wind energy is a very appropriate target.
I don't know what the hell he was talking about there. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, Ruto is begging the Chinese to help him, whether it's money and so forth, so forth. The question is it now clear that Ruto is turning away from the West? And could it be the reason why there's popular revolution, popular revolt against his administration? Yes, there's calls for him to get out. Now, last but not least, there are people who are saying, let's occupy parliament. I'm against it. I'm against this occupy parliament, and I'll tell you why. Here it is as I finish with this. One of the people who are great voices of this thing, what's his face? And I forgot his name. Eric Amerix, whatever it's not. He's saying, as you can see the screen, the only solution to Kenya's problem is the streets. Nothing else. Learn from previous failures. Occupy parliament again. Punch, stone, and whip MPs thoroughly. Stay put until the bread-based mongrel is exterminated. Chase away the peacock and her wild geese. I'm against this because the problem is not, well, the parliament is part of the problem. But like I say, the rot starts at the top. It should be occupy State House. Ruto must go by all means. The parliament is just part of the problem. Listen, we occupy the parliament. What happened? They still went back and they're still doing the same things that they're doing. Of course, the parliament has lost its legitimacy, but I'm calling for Ruto to go. Ruto should be the focus. Ruto must go. We should do it the Bangladeshi way. the Bangladesh way. Hii mambo ya Occupy Parliament is getting old. I am against it. It will not move a needle. It should be Ruto must go. Ruto must be forced to resign or flee from Kenya. Him and his entire cabinet, him, Gachagua, and every CS that is in that government should leave Kenya. That should be the clarion call, not occupy the government, go occupy the parliament. You can occupy the parliament 100 times over. But guess what? Ruto will unleash his deadly forces and still rule by an iron fist, the same way Kenyatta did rule Kenya for 10 years. He was illegitimate for 10 years. How did he do it? He didn't care if the parliament was there or not. He did not care if Maraga was making judgment against his administration. He did not care because he was the head honcho. The rot started with him. So occupying the parliament, which we have done so, will not help us. Ruto must go. Ruto and his entire administration have to flee, step down. That is the message. If there's anything you're going to take from this live, is Ruto must go. Occupy state. Hashtag Occupy State House. Nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. Okay? That's all I gotta say. I'll meet you guys later on this day today. Please, if you're going to watch this and repeat, share, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Okay? I'll see you guys later today. Peace.